Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. We are here to celebrate a number of housing bills that the governor is signing today, and very important bills for the entire state. So thank you for being here. I want to kick off with some thank yous. For those of you who don't know, I'm Speaker Kotek. I represent North and Northeast Portland. Yay! Thank you. We're here because there was a lot of team effort in the legislative session to prioritize housing. I first want to start off by thanking Governor Brown for prioritizing housing in her budget and also making sure that we all stayed the course during the legislative session. Also want to thank the Senate President, because the three of us decided early on that we had to work together to work on the housing crisis. So strong leadership at the top, but also some amazing leaders, legislative chairs of the housing committees. Senator Shemia Fagan, Representative Alyssa Kenney-Guyer did a fantastic job. I want to thank Director Margaret Salazar at the Oregon Housing and Community Services Department and her team for the great work they did. And behind us, we have a number of advocates. What's great about the bills that are being signed today, they have statewide impact and they have had statewide support. And the folks behind me today and who are not here today, a lot of folks worked hard on all these bills. So thank you for the team effort to getting us here. What you see in the bills that we're doing today, House Bill 2001, 2003, 2006, there are some budget bills here as well. With the depth of our housing crisis in the state, we had to take it from all kinds of directions, from supporting it through additional funds, but also policy changes. So we, had to do things like planning for more housing supply, allowing for more types of housing in our traditional neighborhoods. We needed to do more about supporting more affordable construction, as well as preserving the existing affordable stock and helping renters. Let's not forget, we passed Senate Bill 608, the anti-rent gouging and no-cause eviction bill back in February. So a lot has been accomplished on the housing side because the crisis demands multiple strategies. And I think the last thing I want to say before passing it off to the next speaker is we cannot stop. These bills and these budget allocations are really important and will be game changers for the state of Oregon. But the crisis is deep, the need is deep, and we have to keep going. What we have passed has to get implemented well, and we have to be creative and find additional strategies to deal with our housing crisis. So while we want to celebrate today, we have more work to do, and I look forward to working with the governor and the Senate President, legislators and advocates to continue to do that. So thank you very much. And now I'd like to introduce the Executive Director of the Community Alliance of Tenants, Katrina Holland, who will talk about all the other efforts.
Good afternoon, everybody. I definitely have to echo the sentiments as communicated by Speaker Kotek. This has definitely been one of the most historic housing efforts in a legislative session that we have seen in the last 23 years of our existence. And as I stand here today, I think about the thousands of tenants we've served at CAT, the desperate calls from the senior who has to put off a life-saving surgery because of a rent increase she can't afford, from the single mother suffering from mold exposure that's left her and her child drowning in medical costs from repetitive respiratory infections, the family who just received a no-cause eviction, and the shakiness in their voices as they admit to themselves that they may have to live in their car because they won't be able to find a new place to live that's at the same price that they had. Or the Black and Hispanic women exasperated about a neighbor or landlord breathing down their necks with notice after notice after notice for inspections, for fabricated violations, and how they beg for some sort of resources they can access. Surely there has to be some law or some letter that they can write to assert their rights to safe housing and quiet enjoyment. I long for their relief, and I long for their stories to have a different ending. And then I think about this 2019 legislative session, and I'm heartened. I'm heartened because this year we've made historic strides in making a dent in this housing crisis. I'm heartened because the bills we've passed this year reflect a leadership that has been willing to hear from renters, who've demanded access to know their rights, demanded our cities and counties to have the political will to make steps toward building more housing, and to be able to have real answers when asked about how our housing market looks in certain regions and for different types of housing, instead of the traditional expensive single-family home or condominium or luxury apartments that squeeze as many units into one lot as possible. I'm heartened because I know that the bills the governor is about to sign today reflect the values we possess as a state, that housing is a fundamental contributor to the health of our economy, to the health of individual Oregonians' lives, and the foundation on which we will stand as our housing market starts to balance out just a little bit better. So I'm proud to be able to say today that our leadership expanded the charge of our state agencies to help renters and landlords better understand the law. I'm proud to be able to say that we've made it easier for developers to begin building all types of housing, having the potential of ending exclusionary practices that have long been used as tools for racial and class discrimination. I'm proud to be able to say we've realized the significance of understanding our regional housing markets and develop plans to address them. And I'm proud to say that we have made historic investments in affordable housing development, preservation, rental assistance, and so much more with our state housing agency's budget. Now, like Speaker Kotek said, make no mistake, the work is not finished, and the bills signed today signify a step in the right direction. But listen to the last part of that sentence, steps in the right direction. I have no doubts that within several months, several years from now, and down the road, we will witness a stronger housing market that is inclusive, that is making strides toward more equitable outcomes, and is reflective of the Oregon values we hold so dear in our hearts. A community that cares for each other, that recognizes the significance of housing stability, and that decides to take action instead of sitting idly by. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Claire Hall. My day job is Lincoln County Commissioner, and I'm also here in my role as a member of the Housing Stability Council. I'm going to do my best to be brief. First, because a lot of important things have already been said, and second, once I stop talking, the governor can accomplish what we all came here for today, right? Well, it is a really exciting moment, and I think, to me, the biggest takeaway of this day is leadership and partnership. Without the governor's leadership, without the commitment of the legislative leaders that Speaker Kotek acknowledged, and without everybody in this room and hundreds, if not thousands of more grassroots advocates, this day would not have come. These bills do reflect a variety of strategies to address housing needs across the income spectrum, and as a rural county commissioner, I'm proud to say urban communities and rural communities. The council has always had an important role, but I think we've got an even more critical role now helping to shepherd these new investments. The state housing plan we released earlier this year is a critical foundation, was a critical foundation to the discussion and action that took place this session, and I think it will help guide policy for years to come. The 6 priorities articulated in the plan are reflected in these bills. Oregon Housing and Community Services is committed to putting equity at the forefront of implementation of these and other legislation. Now, the woman of the hour, Governor Brown.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone, and I'm delighted to see so many folks here. I am very pleased to be celebrating the progress we made in tackling the housing issues this legislative session. As the speaker so eloquently said, there's certainly more work to be done, and I'm thinking it's a Carpenter song. We've only just begun. So I am just so pleased that we've been able to make significant investments that will help every family have a warm, safe, dry place to call home. And I'm just so pleased that in addition to the partnerships built, that we've also seen incredible vision. And I want to do a special shout out to the speaker for her vision. She pushed me a little further than my comfort zone, and I think she pushed a lot of people a little further than their comfort zone. But without her vision, it wouldn't have happened. So thank you. thank my budget folks, Senator Steiner Hayward, Senator Johnson, for their hard work on the Budget Committee and making housing a priority. Representative Marsh, Representative Kenny Guyer, and Senator Fagan as well. I'd like to thank our Oregon Housing Alliance and our state agencies, particularly the Oregon Housing and Community Services. Yay. Margaret is not here, but I'm sure she's got some team members here. Thank you for your dedication and determination. I'd also like to thank DLCD, the Oregon Department of Land Conservation and Development, for their hard work as well. So at the outset of session, we kicked off with a bold housing agenda, requesting a $400 million investment in housing in our communities, both small and large. And we actually wrapped the session up very close to that full package. And we saw that commitment in the bills I'm signing today. And as Commissioner Hall said, we have a very big crowd today, which showcases the incredible importance of partnership in tackling these issues. And I'm pleased to see that it comes from different sectors and that our state housing crisis is going to require an all-hands-on-deck approach, and that's exactly what we brought. From local to state government, from small organizations to large agencies, and all of the advocates here from our communities, both urban and rural, working together, and that's critically important. We also knew that no single solution was going to address the problem, and that's why I'm pleased to be signing a broad array of bills that will tackle a number of issues, from homelessness to stable rental housing to, of course, increased home ownership. And I think it's so important, while we're focusing on both long-term and short-term ways to relieve the pressures that Oregonians face with regards to housing, we're also working on what I call the middle strategy, and that means supply, supply, and of course more supply. So I just am so pleased that after the legislative session that we're moving in the right direction to make sure that we're helping make Oregon more affordable for everyone. I also want to thank our Housing Stability Council for your incredible work bringing affordable homes to low-income communities across the state. I don't know how many members, in addition to Commissioner Hall, we have here from. Okay, great, thank you. Thank you, Sarah, thank you very much. What I love about the work of the Housing Stability Council is that they've really focused their work on our underserved communities, our rural communities, our communities of color, and our low-income communities. And that's exactly, I think, the right priorities for the state of Oregon. Increasing supply is incredibly important. The resources that OHCS will receive through their new budget will get us to the goal of tripling our pipeline, from bringing on 8,000 new affordable homes earlier this year to a goal of bringing on more than 25,000 in the next couple of years. Finally, I just have to say it's also about implementation. And moving forward, we're certainly going to monitor the impact of these new strategies and obviously work to continue to strike a balance between protecting our vulnerable populations that have been negatively impacted by the housing shortage, while at the same time protecting the housing supply network that will help get us out of this situation. So. We've accomplished a lot, much more work to be done, but I'm so pleased to see not only the leaderships, the partnerships, and the vision shown by Oregonians that will ensure that more Oregonians across the state will have access to safe, warm, dry places to call home. So let's sign the bills. Yeah. All right. Okay, I'll sign these one by one, and I'm telling you which ones I'm signing, so if you don't want to be in the photo, move out. All right. The first one is 5512, and I assume it's our budget bill. All right, I'm gonna hold this one up. 55-112. All right. This next one is House Bill 2001, and I think everyone in this room knows what this bill will do. Besides change Oregon, I think it's going to change the United States. All right. Next up, we've got House Bill 2003. What did I hear back there? It's the sleeper. All right, 2003. And the last one, House Bill 2006. Did I get all the pens used to this? All right, there we go. Congratulations, everybody, and thank you for your really hard work.